And we are live on episode 75 of the podcast, The Master is Always the Student. This episode is a bounce back from the first episode of the Introductions to Masters of Communication. The three things that we're going to be going over today on our agenda is going to be the first one, the importance of taking feedback, constructive criticism from the people you trust, and how it sharpens the individual. The second one is a revamp of our mission and vision statement and the title. And finally, for our third one, it's going to be the 10 C's and how we compress them down to the 5 C's. Now, before I begin, I want to give a huge shout out to my friends that I trust dearly that gave me constructive criticism. I believe that it is important for an individual to reach out to people and for them to critique them about their work, to take constructive criticism, because it's going to sharpen you. Before sending this episode out to my friends that I dearly trust, I felt a sort of discomfort. I felt that way because maybe I wasn't prepared. So when I sent it out, they gave me the best feedback I could receive. And I believe also with feedback, it goes back to the Proverbs 27:7, as man sharpens man, iron sharpens iron, which made me clean up the podcast. And it started with my title. Before, it was called Master of Communications. But I realized that when I have guests over, they are masters of their own craft. And when they're on the podcast, there's more than one master. So that's the first change, was the title, to Masters of Communication. The second one is the mission statement. The mission statement for this podcast is dedicated to empower individuals to master the art of communication by applying the 5 C's of communication into their everyday lives, which is complete, control, connect, create, and culture. And the vision of this podcast is to create a world where effective communication is a catalyst for positive change, inspiring individuals and communities to collaborate, innovate, and thrive. Finally, the last thing that we're refining for this podcast is the 10 C's and compressing them down to the 5 C's. The first one is control. Now, we went over this in the last episode, but first things first. If you want to be a great communicator, if you want to be a better individual, you have to take control of your life. You have to take control of your mind, control of your habits, your attitude, your behavior, and your behavior towards people. No one's going to want to take advice from someone who can't take care of their own thoughts and minds. Also, when you have the discipline to take control of your own mind, can take control of your own words, you tap into more creativity. You tap into a deeper thought of thinking where it helps with creativity. And with that, you begin to see more clearly, which leads to our pillar of number 2, creativity. Creativity is a form of communication. Everything that we see that's man-made is a form of creativity. It came from the source, came from God. And to me, creativity is going to always need to be completed, which is number 3 of our pillars. Completion. You want to make sure that everything you're doing in life, that you have a goal or an objective, you want to make sure it's complete. You want to make sure people can understand it and interpret it. Number 4, connect. Once everything is set in stone, you want to make sure that it connects with the individual, it connects with the audience, it connects with the people. When you connect with them, you build a relationship. Then there begins networking, partnerships, collaboration. And that's when you can start building communities, which leads to number 5, culture. Culture is when an identity has become. You literally created an identity where someone can say, that's Nike, that's Adidas, they're from Brazil, because they created that identity, which goes to the culture. So those are the 5 pillars of communication. Control, creativity, complete, connect, and culture. Thank you all for tuning in, and keep mastering life.